All right. Yeah, thanks everyone for hopping on. If you haven't been around for one of the office hours before, we do these a couple days before. I think it's usually Tuesdays. We'll post a something in the announcements channel, do a little emoji vote with a couple topics to cover. So this week is pretty tight race, but NFTs and Badger Boost won out. So that's what we will be touching on today. We've talked through Badger Boost before, and I just kind of briefly touched on the NFTs. But I think now that Badger Boost is out and live, and then we actually really used our first implementation of the NFT scoring system, version 0, for the dig options drop. Definitely a relevant topic, and I think more people have been kind of asking about it. So this is very much a back and forth. I like to do this as, kind of leading most of the products at Badger. There's not a lot of times you get a chance to get like direct feedback from the community. So this is, as much for me as it is for everyone else joining. So most of this is us just kind of me relaying kind of how we're thinking about things, on we being the team that's kind of the core team, me, some of the developers that are working on all this stuff are kind of moving forward based on our assumptions for what the community is looking for, but then also getting feedback to make sure we're kind of on the right track. Maybe there's some people with other opinions or ideas. Always glad to hear about that and take that into account. So this will be touching on from the get-go, even before launch. There's been a focus on bringing NFTs kind of more into DeFi. Chris has been harping on it since I think before Badger even launched, and then we've released a couple NFTs through Meme, and then the Jersey NFT since Badger has been live, and then we've sprinkled in ways that they interact with the system here and there. But we're finally getting, now that we have Badger Boost out, we are now able to finally really tie the NFTs into the platform, and we're doing that through having them drive a component of the boost. And like I said, so this is all just generally how we're kind of moving forward with it. Totally open for feedback and ideas. But yeah, I'll give a quick rundown, I guess, on how it fits, on the boost. So the boost is fully driven by your ratio, your Badger ratio, or rebranded Badger factor, which that itself is made of numerator, your staked Badger and dig balances, and then the denominator is your staked. And I know we're getting rid of staked, but I guess deposit, vault deposited. The denominator is your vault deposited non-native assets. So Bitcoin generally, or if we include any LP positions, or if you have Bitcoin, ETH, or what have you, that counts towards that as well. So the more Badger you stake relative to Bitcoin you're staking, the higher your boost, and the boost just drives how your non-native balance is interpreted when determining rewards. So the easiest way to think about it is if you and someone else are staking the exact same amount of Bitcoin, if you are staking more Badger than them, you will get a higher proportion of the rewards than they do. That's kind of how that breaks down. So the way, the question is, okay, how do we get NFTs in here? You can't just say, okay, you hold this NFT, you get an extra 2% worth of Badger. Like that doesn't work over, scaling across all position sizes, scaling across all different assets that you might have in there. So the boost is really a general purpose framework that we can then feed different inputs into. So right now, NFTs do not matter for the boost at all, but it's high on our list to start including. And the way we're looking to include it is that numerator, your staked Badger balance, we will be able to use, your NFT holdings will boost that value itself by up to some fixed percent. So the easiest way to think about it is, okay, let's say it was 25%. So we say the max NFT boost is 25%. And then if you hold literally every NFT that Badger has produced and put out, then at least one of them, then you will get a 25% boost added to your staking balance. So if you're holding, $100,000 worth of Badger deposited in the Badger vault, when determining your Badger balance, which is the numerator in the factor calculation, it'll be interpreted as 125,000. So that just means that you can use this to really drive up the value of your ratio by holding more NFTs. So that's the high level framework. Anyone have any on the structure in general? If you don't feel like talking or asking questions verbally, throw them in the chat. I'm more than happy to look at them there. Yannick asks, my Badger boost is already at 3. I assume my NFT jersey won't change anything. Correct. So all of this is still within the same framework of the max Badger boost being 3, which can be changed, via governance. That's just the starting point. But yeah, it doesn't boost it above that. It just will improve your ranking. So if you're already the top ranked boost, acquiring an NFT isn't really going to move the needle for you. And with this structure, the NFTs become more valuable to larger depositors, right? So if you think about it, it's a lot easier for someone with, $10,000, or let's say you just have like half a Bitcoin. Let's say you have $25,000 worth of Bitcoin deposited. It's a lot easier for someone to acquire $50,000 worth of Badger because everything's relative, right? So I'm just using dollars to kind of normalize it. I think we actually normalize everything back to Badger terms, but it's easier math that way. So if you say, okay, you have $50,000 in Badger, you can acquire that. Someone can buy that on Uniswap in one transaction, right? It's very easy to acquire over a period of time. If you have $100 million worth of Bitcoin deposited, it's not very easy to get $200 million worth of Badger to increase your boost. So the boost itself is very democratizing for smaller holders, but we don't want to totally push away larger holders because they bring a lot of the fees, right? I feel like the NFTs are a way for larger holders to help improve their ratio so that they're still getting decent returns and that they stay in the system. And then long term, I would like to find ways as we're adding NFTs to make sure that everyday smaller addresses have the ability to get access to these NFTs. So hopefully it kind of flows up where everyone has access to get these NFTs, whether it's through different actions or just being around at the right time or yada, 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 not really gating the acquiring of the NFTs to just whales. But then if let's say your boost is already 2.9 and you acquire this NFT, some whale is going to want to buy that off of you because it can help their boost more. And then that, it's just trickle down isn't the right term. It's a little loaded, but so that's kind of how we think about it. And then, these parameters can all be tweaked. Taco Cat asks, completely missed the whole native set, non-native set ratio part the whole time. But since my denominator is 0, shouldn't my boost technically be undefined instead of 1? We just make anything that's going to be undefined or 0, 1, so that it doesn't break the distributor. It's just a nicer number. Yeah, it's a multiplier. So the lowest you should get is 1. And that you get it, one piece of confusion now that people have seen it is if you don't have any Bitcoin deposited, it'll show your boost as 1, same as if you don't have any Badger deposited, but just Bitcoin deposited. Once you start having, both sides of it, the native and non-native, deposited in the same account, then you'll see the boost flow through. It's in crypto. Any tutorials to read about how to deposit BT in the set? There's a whole support wiki. I'd say go hop in the main channel. Future asks if I have Badger and Dig on BSC, will I get a boost for this? No, not right now. But we're looking into how we can take into account balances on other chains. We're looking to move and move across other chains as well. So we definitely want to take that into account. It's just not here out of the gate. I would say getting NFTs is probably the next focus, and then cross-chain balances will be looked at after that. Taco Cat, yeah. So if you only have Badger deposited, if you're only holding a B Badger and B Dig, if you deposit some Bitcoin into the WBTC vault, then your boost will update. The update timing doesn't look like it's working great right now. So that's something that we're looking into. So if you have made changes in your address and it hasn't updated, just sit tight. Hopefully we'll have that fixed in not too long. Yes. So if we want to get into, I can talk through the actual scoring mechanism and the people that are asking non-NFT boost related questions. I'll circle back to those at the end if we have time. All right, I'm gonna do a little share screen. So yeah, this is the part that I wanted to get some feedback from folks on is, okay, so let's say we say the max, one input's going to be what's the max boost that a holding NFTs will have on your Badger balance. So we could say it's 25%. Now, how do you determine how much of that 25% that you get? To do that, we need to figure out, okay, what's your NFT relative score, right? So the way that I'm kind of thinking of doing it is, and this is what we used for the distribution of the dig options, basically classifying different types of NFTs. And the way that I'm classifying the NFTs is whether or not we get a portion of the fee on any transactions that are going through like OpenSea. So in the different NFTs that we launched with Meme, the first Honeypot game, that was just, straight collaboration. We're not getting any fees from those NFTs being transacted, but they were like the first Badger NFTs. So I totally think they should be included. The Diamond Hands game that we also did with Meme, those we worked out a collaboration, partnership with Meme to share the fees on that one. So calling that like a collaboration versus like a partnership. And then the Jersey NFT was actually the first NFT that Badger launched out of its own ERC 1155 contract. So we get all of the transaction fees on that. So I think the default's like 2.5% or something like that. So if you sell an NFT on OpenSea, then Badger gets 2.5% of that. And this is just an initial list. Like I said, it's all actually community driven. So I think as we kind of move forward, hopefully we'll start looking to have some sort of cadence where we can decide, hey, are we including any new NFTs? Do we, there's been a lot of talk about like picking like an NFT of the month or whatever that gives you like we boost the score on that one. Anything's very doable, but this is just the general structure of it. So these are the, 10 NFTs that we have. This is the different type of NFT they are, and then this is their rarity. So the score that we're going for is a combination of rarity and then type. So really just backed my way into a formula that we wanted to reward Jersey NFT holders the most because that's the straight Badger NFT, and then the other ones a little less for the Diamond Hands, and then a little less for the Honeypot NFTs. So and then that tiers back based on, are we getting all the fees, some of the fees, or none of the fees? And then within that, we adjust by rarity. And I don't think doing anything other than that, any other inputs really make that much sense. We don't want to make it too complicated. And then, so worked out a formula using some roots, yada, 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 that scales it up to basically, a Jersey NFT is worth like 10x or maybe 15x the Honeypot, 500 rarity NFTs. And then how that feeds back in is looking at what is the max total score that you could get. So easy way to look at that is just add this all up, because we only count, there's no point in holding two of the same NFT. We just count unique NFTs held. I think that's a nice way to do it. So you don't get people just hoarding with the same NFT. Let's get as many people holding as many NFTs as possible. So the max score here is 2,714. So it's literally just, here, let's do this real quick. So you get your max score, and then you see, if this is what it would be if you held just one of the NFTs, what it would get. And then let's say we have the max score, max boost of 25%, then this is for just holding, one of the NFTs. This is what you would get. So the Jersey NFT gets you, just holding the Jersey NFT gets you basically a 5% boost in your Badger balance. So that would take you from if you had like $100,000 worth of Badger stake, that would take you to like 105,000 as far as how it's being evaluated in the Badger boost formula. And then if you hold all of them, then you get 25%. Any combination of the two, you get some other breakdown. So yeah, anyone have any questions or thoughts on the scoring? Well, would love to hear it. Questions on kind of like how we're handling the boost. It's like scoring feeds into the boost, which feeds into the numerator. Does that make sense? Is that intuitive to folks? Last question, the 25%, does that seem like a good number to start at? Or we could go like 100%, I think we're gonna have to do some analysis after Boost has been live for a little bit. There's already been some movement, someone took out like a decent chunk because, their relative multiplier kind of went down. So I think we're going to do some analysis and see, okay, who left, who's coming back. I'm fine with losing a little TVL if it means that other parties are also locking up or buying more Badger and Dig. That's kind of the goal. So I think if we can find a middle ground, this NFT boost percentage is something we can tweak if we're hearing from whales or whatever that we're taking our money out because we feel like we're not able to get like the max return. If you asked, add in the UI, click here to increase boost. Yeah, totally. We're looking to do that as well. That's a good call with the NFTs. I don't think we could scope that out. But yeah, it's definitely something we're looking to gamify a little bit more. The leaderboard is definitely version 1. And I think we're also looking to have the badger that shows up be a bit more dynamic. So you can have like a sad badger at 1 all the way up to the Super Saiyan badger at 3, and then maybe have a couple in between. Cool. All right. Yeah, that's it on the NFTs. Hopefully this will be integrated in the next couple weeks, and we'll be looking to do a bit more of a cadence on stuff that we're doing with the boost, encouraging velocity between vaults, people getting in and out of vaults, and NFTs changing hands is always good. We make money on all those fees for the DAO. So shifting incentives here or there, boosting specific NFTs, and then finding out how to get the community to weigh in on that stuff, to do some fun things is definitely top of mind. Yeah, hi guys said the 25% feels a bit low. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more maybe we'll go. Maybe we can start at 50 and see where things go from there. So we just, with the dig rebase options, did this analysis, and this is kind of how it shakes out when you're looking at all the different addresses. It's kind of the process that I go through manually for this, but it'll be more automated, obviously, with it, as you just get like a whole export of every NFT holder, and then it feeds into this, adds up all the scores for all the different NFTs, and you can kind of see where people fall. So what we haven't done is cross-check this list with large depositors and seeing kind of what the overlap is for people that have the max boosts. I don't know if this is going to work. I haven't sorted this before. I don't know if any one person actually has, one address I think has the highest score, 2714. Yeah, look at that. How will it scale when we start adding more NFTs? Yeah, so this can get more advanced.
My my response there might have been a bit confusing, but I was just thinking about something to make it worthwhile having eat one of each. If you had one of each, it seems like a good reason. You collected them all. There may be some added benefit for that scenario, is what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, and we could totally do that. Just kind of going into the calc. So we could totally do that. This is where the cutoff is, and then if it's just like, okay, you get an extra 10% for having every single one of them, you could definitely do that. This was what we used for the dig airdrop, and if you can see it, but it was definitely a much more in-depth calculation. I just wanted to start with something very simple, but in this, you got counted for holding each rarity, but you got added benefit by holding at least one of each rarity, or holding across rarities. Like holding across rarities was worth more than holding just one rarity. So we could do a similar thing. Yes, the intra and inter rarity multipliers with these if we want to do it by category. So you get boost for diamond hands NFTs, but if you have diamond hands and a honeypot NFT, then you get something added there, and then that would be saying, I don't have one of this. If I get one of this type of this category, that benefits me more than getting another one of the category that I'm already in.
Yeah, I think it really adds to the gamification, right? It's kind of like from an MMO or something where you have set bonuses for your armor if you get different types, and then if you of course have the full set. So something to that effect that just motivate the trading of these. It would push the whole thing forward, I would think.
Yeah, totally down to jam on what we could do there. Visualizing it and getting the information to everyone in a way that they can consume it is also another problem. But I think getting that framework in place. We have this here, we have the score. Okay, how did the score feed in that? And then what we can do is always add little layers on top, whether it's like an added boost like that, where it's within that 20, the initial percentage, or if it's something that's on top for holding all of them, or X, N of M or something.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I really like what you've done here. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm not trying to complicate it, but I just figured you're looking for feedback. I think maybe that's somewhere where we kind of move towards. Who knows? Maybe we even use like to visualize it. It could be like a Badger set of armor or something. I don't know. Anyway, we can put more thought into it.
Yeah, I mean, the leaderboard is definitely something that, and this, I guess, is that, yeah, whoever I is saying it would be interesting to flesh out the leaderboard with additional metrics like the dollar value of non-native Badger, dig assets. This helps show if there are any whales or shrimps at the top to increase gamification. Agreed. The problem with totally agree, and I think it's something that we'll do. The interesting component to that is just like the top is always going to be clogged by a whole bunch of addresses that hold like some Badger and then like Bitcoin, like BTC vault dust, and then your ratio is going to be like insane. So we're trying to figure out ways that we can like maybe consolidate the lists into like larger chunks and not see every address, but see them kind of grouped. Because right now, like, yeah, I agree, it would be cool to see the addresses there, but you still have to go through a whole bunch of pages. There's like 4,000 addresses or something like that, and it's just kind of like scattered in. But I think for anyone who's a developer, designer, whatever, if you want to take a crack at how we can better gamify that thing, like that's definitely something that I think we would encourage and pay for if someone wanted to help there. This is kind of like the right out of the gate. But yeah, I would love to see what other people think we could do that to really drive. Because what you guys are saying is exactly what I think we want to do, and we've talked about a lot, is like how do you gamify it? How do you get people to want to go buy? All right, well, if I buy $1,000 more worth of Badger, I'll get a little extra boost. If I buy this NFT over here, I get a little extra boost. And that's all that we're looking to do. And it's very hard to get that information across. Like, you have to do it in the UI in something that's like a game, because otherwise it's buried here in the office hours conversations, or it's like in some Medium article that maybe not everyone didn't read, or it's in some tweet that's like the third tweet in a thread or something like that. It's hard for people to get. Hash error. Any early feedback regarding how or if the boost is changing any larger Badgers' behaviors? No, I touched on that a minute ago. The only thing I've seen pop up is someone saying someone did withdraw a decent chunk from the Bitcoin vault. Who knows if they're moving it to another wallet, or if they just wanted to sell, or if they're just gone and are taking it elsewhere. But I think it's definitely something we want to look into. And I think, obviously we had the Boost launch and Dig rebase options launch this week. And I think we'll be doing some, refining and looking back at the Boost here over the next, couple weeks. Because I think it's something that we should start looking at. Sweet. Yeah, if anyone hasn't yet, just since I mentioned Dig, if you haven't gone to the dig.finance page, this is built by some community members, and it's pretty awesome. But a whole tracker here for the rebase mining program. So it's just a little plug there.
Omnifarious with the beautiful dash. Yeah, and that's where everybody can check their options allocation as well.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be hooking those guys up for helping with that. And if, like I said, the leaderboard, if anyone wants to take a crack at that, or scope out some, changes or whatever, like, would very open to bringing someone in to help kind of drive that a bit. Cool. Any other NFT or Boost questions? I think there are a few other things in the chat I can roll through. If not, cool. All right. I think there was something about IBBTC up here a second ago. I asked regarding IBBTC, are there plans for the app to display a breakdown of the underlying composition of the sets backing IBBTC? I am not aware of that. I agree it would be a good thing to have. Yeah, I'll talk to the DeFi Dollar team. I don't know if they have anything like that, but that would also be another, any community dashboard builders out there, if you want to make one around IBBTC, that would be pretty dope. And a little plug too, where we are looking for UX UI people and maybe a more full-time capacity to figure out how we can start. We're starting to acquire a lot of stuff. It's more than just a couple vaults now. We have these different games going on. We have these different community dashboards. We've got different stuff going on with Dig. We're have the experimental zone for vaults now, and we're going to start seeing a lot more vaults get launched pretty soon. And we want to make sure, we've prided ourselves on the app looking good. We've got the bridge in there too, on the app being fairly intuitive for users, looking good, feeling good, all that. And definitely have some concerns that as we add this stuff, it can get a little kludgy. Definitely, I think the like a real UX focused person is something that we are missing right now on the core team. So if you yourself are that person or know someone, please reach out. Cool. I don't know if I think that was the only other question I saw. Down to jam on anything else that people have questions on about Badger or want to talk about real quick. Toss in the chat, speak up.
John, do you want to, I know it was one of the topics of discussion this week that didn't get voted in, but do we want to use this time to talk about the commons a little bit, kind of coming out of what you were just talking about in terms of, roles to be filled, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'll encourage everyone to vote for the commons part, maybe for the next time around, and we'll get Tritium in here. But I know probably most people looking at the list were like, what the hell is that? I'm not going to vote for that. But yeah, so the commons is, I don't know if people have seen it flow around here or there. There's a separate Discord server for Badger builders. So it's just focused on, developers and everyone else in there contributing to actually building all the different Badger things. Before it had been basically just invite only. Hey, you want to start working with us? All right, we'll bring you in there, give you some roles, start working on some stuff. And then, that's where a lot of people that are getting paid out in grants and all the core contributors are, spending. That's where I spend most of my time, right? Coordinating with the different developers there. Tritium from the community had been contributing a lot on the DevOps side. But then it's been his kind of initiative recently to really open it up and try to make it more of a place for specifically developers to kind of come in and start contributing very quickly on things, pick up some grants, and then hopefully create a really good pipeline of talent coming into Badger. And then just also giving people the opportunity to work on all these different projects that we have going on, kind of scale out our operations. So we have, people who are, full-time, people who are part-time, people who are just kind of like working project-based here or there, picking up grants, yada, yada, yada. So the Commons is kind of what we've kind of rebranded it as. You come in there's a couple channels open to you, and then, add a role based on your, your purported skill set. And then, we're having channels where you can figure out how to set up your local Badger environment to start doing work on it. We're working on refining like a bounty board that people can access. We're going to start, we work closely with Gitcoin already, and we're going to have a few things coming up with them doing some more like hackathons and stuff like that. And being in that Discord is probably going to be the best place to be to start contributing and kind of know what's going on there. So highly recommend anyone who's interested in joining. You can ping me, Will, Tritium, any of the developers, and we can get you in there. And would love to get Tritium on one of these office hours meetings so that he can kind of give more of a detail of his vision. But it's largely just, okay, how are we going to onboard folks? Like, let's make it as easy as possible for people to contribute to Badger on, make an impact. And then, we'll figure out as things go on where they want to slot in, who do we want to have as, long-term or regular contributors or your grants, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, highly encourage anyone who's, it's not just developers, but it's, if you're going to bring value to building a product, that's kind of the place to be. So like I said, designers, we have need for product people, people that can take products and create better, scoping, documents for developers to work on, technical writers, stuff like that. I think even if you're just a writer and want to work on marketing stuff, there's a role for that as well. So, really, if you're just down to hustle and have some value to bring, probably going to be some room for you there. So usually it just starts with kind of doing something, kind of proving that you're, have those skills to bring, and then getting in the Discord and getting kind of deployed. So yeah, we're real excited about it. It's been a bit of an explosion in there recently, and we're kind of working through getting everything a bit more organized. But yeah, very, very excited about being able to get more folks in. Will, is there anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I think it's something that we're actively focusing on now moving forward. I think, the first bunch of months was focused on getting products out there and getting sort of everything up and running. And, it's a lot of people sprinting to the end. So now it's about, hey, how do we kind of like, add a little bit more of that structure. Some people have been lucky enough to kind of find their way into roles, but want to make it easier for people to understand what's going on, where they can contribute, where there's opportunities. So, some people don't have to come in and find it for themselves essentially, but yeah, in terms of the scope of opportunities, it's really across the board, from marketing, communications, all that stuff, of course, to developer side, strategists, all that sort of thing. So yeah, and obviously, being so open, welcome to any feedback or sort of best practices that folks have seen in other cases, for sure. But yeah, definitely a focus of ours moving forward. And I think folks in here know about the dashboard, and that's like such a great example of a community member taking an interest in a particular product of Badgers and putting something together to add value to it, and then sort of put us in a scenario where we're like, hey, we'd love you to add more and build this out even further and continue to go down that road. So not to say everybody's journey would be like that, but it's certainly a good example of how people can get involved and start building and subsequently receive rewards for doing so.
Cool. Yeah, and then takeaway, vote for it next time for the office hours. And we'll get Tritium in here and give more detail.
Sure.
Guess we're all good.
Did a good job today.
All right. Kept it short and sweet. All right. Well, appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah.
And talk to you guys all in a couple weeks.